Hey, you guys, this is Sky Juice,
This is Tony B.
we are here live and direct, coming to you again tonight with a wonderful podcast. We are talking about these badass kids.
Hey,
Okay.
oh boy. See?
Thank you for tuning in wherever you are in the world. And the title of this podcast is Mom, I Hate You. Get Out of My Effing Face. So I'm sure many people have seen kids that act like this. And we are horrified. We're both parents. I'm a parent of 5 beautiful children, ages 26 through 13 or 12, something like that. I can't remember.
Something like that. Come on now. I'm going to need you to remember the ages now. That's something I'm trying to forget. Huh?
Something like that. It was a while ago.
Yeah, something. Okay. Maybe we'll have to talk about that, about the whole giving birth and being pregnant and all that. I couldn't.
I love that.
There's nothing I could put in on that except for from the outside looking in what I perceive. And you can tell me the experience of that, and that's a whole different topic. But we got to go into what we're going
Talk
into.
about birthing. I'm a doula, so I'm all about birthing. So we can have that conversation on another day.
Okay.
So how many children do you have, Tony?
I have three. I got Big Brother Almighty is the oldest, and then I have 2 daughters.
Wonderful. Mm-hmm. So basically tonight we are wanting to chime in on the y'all understand. I just get I'm gonna give you a case in point, because this is years ago. I don't really watch this show anymore, but I was watching the Kardashians, and Khloe cursed her mother out. She was like, "Mom, get out of my fucking face! Get out! You're getting on my nerves." And that's when I actually tuned in. That was like the first show I ever saw, because I was like waiting for her mother to reach over and smack the hell out of her, and she didn't. Her mom was just like looking at her like, maybe something's wrong with her. Like, are you okay? And it's just not. I have so much to say about it. I'm almost going blank right now, but
you can't even think about how you would put in words, how you would.
So many different directions. So really, like, I think parenting is probably one of the most challenging aspects of life. Mm-hmm. Do you not agree?
Absolutely, because there's no book for it, and we're pretty much all learning as we go.
Oh my gosh. So my whole thing is, I guess I'll just jump right into like this disrespectful children thing. Mm-hmm. What is it that will allow you to allow your child to speak to you any kind of way? That's basically.
I want to go ahead and say that it's kind of like maybe a different generational thing. Normally I would say I don't want to give up my age, but I'm pretty sure everybody knows by now that I'm, of age up there somewhere. So, I'm a 70s baby, born in the 70s. And the way we were brought up as far as kids, we definitely had a tremendous amount of respect for our parents and our elders. And I don't really remember ever hearing about kids being disrespectful, talking back, or any of that stuff. You know what I mean? And we can try to make it into a cultural thing, but even all different cultures, I never remember seeing that at all. Any kids being disrespectful to their parents and talking back. And then somehow along the way, I don't know if it came with the way the system made things, as far as if you discipline your child, you can get in trouble and this, that, which let me go ahead and give a little story about what happened with me one time, right? I was young, and I was just a bad kid. I was doing bad stuff or whatever. So my mom would, spank my butt. So I remember one time she spanked my butt, and I told her, I said, look, I said, Mom, well, I didn't even say Mom. I was just saying, you hurt me. And when you spanked me last time or something like that, and I think you left a welt on me. And if you do that again, I'm going to call those people on you, right? The child abuse people, right? So you know what my mom said? She said, okay. So the next time I was messing up and she was ready to whip my butt, she was like, all right, keep acting up. I'm gonna have you ready to call them people on me again. So that my mom didn't care.
She's like, get the phone.
Like, you won't be calling the people because I'm gonna whoop your ass, you know what I mean? So
yeah,
I don't know necessarily if that's the reason why, but you know, when I see these kids nowadays just talking crazy to their parents, like even I don't remember even cursing in front of my parents, let alone cursing at them. That just, man, if I did that, my life would be in
over.
Yeah, you know what I mean? So
yeah.
I'm not sure. Georgina says drugs possibly got in the way. Maybe so. Maybe so. I mean, some of them I think are completely sober.
I think that okay, so I'm gonna just like throw some like extracurricular out here. Like, okay, I think discipline is really important, but I also think that some parents over discipline. What I mean by that is I think I see parents demanding respect but not giving respect to their children.
Oh, okay. Okay.
And I think some people have a thought process that children don't require to be respected. And therefore they can talk to their children any kind of way. And I am totally I come from a place, and this is just the sky world. I see people cursing their children out, and this is called discipline. They call it discipline. But I feel so demeaned and degraded. I'm like usually beside myself, and I can't say anything because that's their children. But I am absolutely against that way of parenting. That is like an absolute.
Yeah, I've heard people say they do that because they want to toughen them up and get them ready for the world because they believe that people are going to be talking to them crazy like that. So they curse them out as a way of toughening them up and, you know, as a form of discipline or something like that. But I don't agree with that either. My mom didn't even curse in front of me, let alone curse at me, but she was very hands-on. Believe that. Very hands-on. She had an array of disciplinary devices to tear my butt up with. So, you know.
Right. We got Georgina says there's a loss of respect. And Tafari says, good evening, good night, Sky, Juice, Tony B, and the rest of y'all, kings and queens. Thank you. I think that I can definitely say that I'm not an expert on parenting. I have done my whole entire best.
None of us
are. There's some people really good at it. Some people are really good at it. But I don't think if you are the disciplinarian extraordinaire, I don't think you're the better parent. I can definitely attest to that, because I'm going to tell you right now, the relationship that I had with my mother was better than I think the relationships that I've seen other friends have with their parents. And the reason being is the fact that a lot of my peers, as I was like in high school, there was such a disciplinarian thing with the parent and the child. My friends couldn't speak to their parents because just the thought of having a conversation with their parents about guys, you know, like, oh, I like you're in high school, right? Oh, I like a boy. Oh, he's so cute. Da, 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 da. They couldn't even have that conversation with their mother as a girl because it was considered disrespectful to even talk about a guy because you're supposed to be studying all your life. You know what I mean?
But that wouldn't equate to a child being disrespectful. That would be a child that's having fear of talking to their parent.
Well, but that's considered by some a form of disrespect. Why are you coming to me with this foolishness?
Oh.
Why are you coming to talk to me about this foolishness?
Okay.
And it's part of discipline. So it is fear. They're so afraid of communicating with their parent. They don't have that communication. They don't have that connection. So what would happen to me back in before cell phone days is my girlfriends would call. I see their number pop up on caller ID and I'd be like, hey girl, how you doing? Hey, is your mom home? Yes, she is. Can I talk to her? And so they would have I had several friends that developed a relationship with my mother because she was able to have conversations about guys and other personal things that they would have their own personal connection with, and I'd be like, you're my friend. Mm-hmm. But anyway, I'm just saying that there's this level of, like, I feel like I believe in discipline in children, right? But I don't believe in demeaning children. I don't believe in putting so much fear in the disciplining that the child is almost like, a lot of people are traumatized from their childhood. I feel like most people are a product of their childhood. And a lot of people were overly beaten, they were overly disciplined, and their mind is so in a box. They don't really have the freedom to think and live and be. No, and then they go as an adult and they're really trying to unprocess all this programming.
Now, let me ask you a question. Do you feel as though, because I often feel this way, I think all of us strive to be better parents than our parents were to us. Not to say that our parents were bad parents, but we just wanted to be better and be able to do things differently, maybe pay attention in certain areas that they didn't pay attention, or certain things they might not have seen that we didn't necessarily, I don't want to say appreciate, but didn't necessarily get some of the things or see some of the things that our parents, like, I know based off just what you said right there, right? There's a lot of parents that have like a open line of communication with their kids that they could talk to them about any and everything. And I think that's a beautiful thing to be able to.
I think it's important. Yeah,
I think it is. But do you think a lot of that comes from us wanting to do it different than our parents did with us? Yeah. Not to say that they did it wrong, but we just want to do it differently because we feel as though doing it like that would be,
not being able to speak to your parents about anything. This is your whole child, right? Not being able to have a conversation about drugs and sex and guns and a lot of the problems in society that your child can't come to you, that this is affecting them. Peer pressure. You know, these kids are out here suicidal because of, like, the whole gay thing. Look at the whole gay thing. How many children either want to kill themselves or what have you, whatever it is, because they can't communicate with their parent and they're going to feel like they are going to be ostracized by their whole family. Tafari says, okay, I can't see.
Put them on.
Correct. I don't talk to my parents about a lot of personal things because of how they were. The fear they instilled in me, I do not do that to my child. Exactly.
Yeah.
Georgina says, you're right. Absolutely. We got some feedback. But yeah, so I think that, and definitely I think it's a work in progress. I do feel that my style of parenting, which I don't think is a style, it's just really like, let me catch, because each child you have is a whole different human being.
Yes.
Like some people need to be punched in the face. I'm telling you right now. Some of them are so hard-headed. You get what I'm saying? And some of them are really receptive to like a long talk. You know what I'm saying? So it really just depends on the individual. But, you know, I just feel like there is the lack of respect and the entitlement that these children have nowadays blows my mind. I mean, I'm just like, I don't know how I don't understand like why they feel like, well, I don't have to do anything. Well,
I think a lot of it too, we see kind of reflected in the kids at school and how they interact with teachers and stuff and the respect level. Because even when I was a kid, there was always a certain level of respect that we had for teachers. We weren't cussing them out. We weren't trying to fight them. We weren't trying to do none of that stuff. You know what I mean? It was just like, But a lot of that came from, if you knew that you said or did something crazy to the teacher was going to tell your mom or your dad or whatever, and it was coming up to the school, and it might go down right then and there. You know what I mean?
Right. So that brings me to a question, and this is for you, Tony, and everyone. Okay. So in terms of like teaching children, right? And this is about teaching children and how you navigate how children, especially trying to get children to like, and when I say children, I mean really any age, school age, right? How do you navigate, or what do you teach as far as bullying?
For example, my kids, or what do I teach them?
Yeah, like for example, there is somebody who is bothering your child in the school, harassing them or what have you, what do you teach your child or children how to deal with stuff like that?
Me personally, I'm of the opinion that the only way you're going to get a bully to stop bullying you is to stand up to them. You know what I mean? And I know that could be scary sometimes, but at the end of the day, I have a big problem with bullying. As you know, we had a show where we talked about that. It was kind of wasn't about bullying, but it was a certain incident that happened, and it came from bullying. So
right.
The thing is this, I did a show on bullying one time, right? And in schools and all. And the one thing that was an issue that it seemed like an ongoing issue with me, it seemed like the school always kind of took their time in addressing the bullying. You know what I mean? Like if you would call the school and say, hey, my son or child is being bullied, they'll say, okay, we're going to look into it. Days go by, 2 days go by, a week go by. You call, hey, I was calling to find out, was there any,
right.
update on that situation? Well, the principal is busy, but they're going to get back to you as soon as possible in the next day or two or something. Another 2 days go by, they still don't. So my thing is this. You want to say there's zero tolerance for putting your hands on another child, a child putting their hands on another child, but you don't want to say there's zero tolerance for bullying. I mean, for me, bullying is something that you should put down everything and go address that situation right then and there, because there have been situations where there were shootings at schools and all that because the kid was being bullied. You know what I mean? So it's something that definitely requires immediate attention, and we can't always just put that off. But my kids, you ain't got to wait for the teacher, nothing like that. If somebody bullying you, do whatever, you stand up for yourself. If you got to sock them or whatever, you get suspended. You ain't gonna get in trouble for me because you did what you were supposed to do. Because I'm not going to have my child being bullied all damn day long, and the school don't want to do nothing. Next, you come home to a child hanging from the closet because they've been getting bullied and stuff like that, and stuff happens like that. So
I agree 100%. 100%. Let me tell you, I tell my kids, act the fool. Okay, if anybody trying to F with you, knock them in the face and ask questions later. Fuck around and find out. Okay.
That's right. That's right.
I'm coming to get you and your parents. Fuck around. I'm serious. I will get so upset if anybody comes up to my children trying to harass them while they're here not doing nothing to you. Oh, you're gonna find out how the crazy comes out.
Yes.
Anyway.
Quickly.
Oh, I will be crazy. You could forget it. Do you see? I just went into like crazy land. Okay. Yeah. No, don't try to mess with my kids. They will know who the hell we all are. And Zinga, how you doing, girl? Bullying in school. First have child bring it to the attention of the instructor. That doesn't work. We'll let the administration know. They don't do anything. Beat that bully's ass. Yeah. That's right. Yeah. I don't want to. I'm not asking no questions. Honestly, I don't have time. A lot of this is like, let's cut through the bullshit. Okay. Yeah. If you have one of these sick children that feel that they have a right, if you out there in the world have one of these sick children that want to harass people's children, find out, because guess what? You're going to mess with the wrong one. Remember that video with the girl who was beaten on the Muslim girl? It was a white girl. She was a little heavy and she was beaten on the Muslim girl. The black girl came out of nowhere and beat that girl up and down. You know why? Because she was, and it was like no school people, no instructor around.
They was basically watching like it was no big deal until the black girl came in, and all of a sudden they want to start breaking it up.
You only saw what you saw, and then this black girl came from nowhere and just started. What is the word? Pummeling.
Pummeling.
She was like, and it was like, yes, don't knock out the underdog. That was a whole bully situation right there, and it was like the Muslim girl sitting next to the other Muslim girl was just sitting there like, I don't know what to do. I don't know how to get involved in this, and maybe some people are just non-confrontational. And that's fine. But people like me who have no problem with jumping in to save your life, I will jump in and save you, because I know there's some people, and I look at it like astrologically too. For those of you who are into astrology, I look at it astrologically. There's some signs that just don't respond to that type of energy. And there's some that do. Aries, we are the warriors of the whole situation. There's a few warriors in the planets, right? We talk about astrology another day. But anyway, what I'm saying is there are people who are just non-confrontational, and as soon as confrontation happens, they stop. Like it just completely like paralyzes their whole body. You get what I mean? And their whole being, like they're just not like, they don't like to have those hard conversations, what have you. Aries tend to be okay with the hard stuff, like the hard conversations and up to the fight, up to the point. And I'm ready for everything all the time.
So back to the disrespectful kids and the parents that allow the disrespect. Bullying?
Oh, yeah. Disrespectful.
And because I let me give you scenarios. Like I've known people that would be like, you know, my child just doesn't want to do anything. They graduate from school, all they was doing is partying, and they going out and coming in late and this, that, and another thing. And I'm like, okay, so what are you doing? I'm telling them they need to come in, this, that, and another thing. I'm like, okay, are you giving them any consequences behind these actions? Or no, are you giving any kind of deadline or set date to say either you're going to enroll in school or get a job or you got to go? And they're like, well, I just can't do it. I can't put my child out. I can't do this, that, and another thing. And I'm just like, to me, it's not about putting your child out, but it is about making your child have a sense of responsibility. But then when they sit there and tell you, well, oh, I'm not about to come in the house at 1 o'clock in the morning. I'm grown. The 18 talking about they grown. I'm gonna come in when I want to come in. Now that goes back to the thing where I always say, and I tell the parents this, I said, first of all, you got to learn how to, give them that tough love when it's needed. Second of all, you got to let them know, look, if you want to be the boss, you got to pay the cost. And what I mean by paying the cost is once you get your own place, you're paying your own rent, you're paying for your own bills, your own food. You can do whatever you want to do. You can come in at 2 o'clock in the morning. You can come in 2 days later. You can walk around the house butt naked. You can smoke weed. You can drink. You can do whatever you want to do in your own because you're paying the cost.
I was waiting.
As long as you're up in here, up in this house, I don't care if you're 30 years old. You coming in. If I say come in at 1 o'clock because I don't want people walking in and out of my house at all times of the night, I say you got to be in this house by 1 o'clock. It means you got to be in this house by 1 o'clock. And don't tell me you're grown, because if you're grown, you have your own place doing your own thing. But you're 30 years old living at home with me. So it's going to be some rules set into place. Maybe that'll motivate you to get your ass out and get your own place and do your own thing.
And Zinger says structure is a must. Yeah. I feel you on that 100%. I have no problem with telling y'all. I don't have a problem with telling my children it's time for y'all to go. I'm not that person, but I just, peace is really important to me, you can't. I think I have friends that are very, very sweet. I feel like they're very sweet to their children, and I think there's a beauty in the sweetness, but I really feel like that might not necessarily work all the time. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So, yeah.
I mean, because, bullies kind of prey on the ones that are nice and sweet and quiet and this, that, you know what I mean, that are real passive, you know what I mean? They think, oh, that's the easy one. And, sometimes that's not always the case because, all right, you think so. And that quiet, nice laid back child would grab something and go upside your head with it.
Do you find that there are parents that are bullies to their children?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because those are the ones, because my thing is this. If I ever would have found out my child was a bully and I come up to the school and found out, oh, it's going to be hell to pay. But it seems like that doesn't happen. Like these bullies are bullies. And then when the parents find out, they act like it's no big deal. Or they think it's funny or something like that. They don't nip it in the bud. They don't make the consequence of bullying worse when you go home. If they find out you've been bullying somebody, they just look at it like, oh, well, you just doing what you're doing.
No. That wasn't what I was asking.
Sometimes and they talk crazy to the teachers and the principals. The parents do. Yeah. Yeah. Like, who does that?
Well, I was saying do you think that there are parents that are bullies to their own children?
Absolutely. That's what I'm saying. I think they're bullies to their own kids, and they don't think there's nothing wrong with their kids being bullies, and they don't do anything about it. Absolutely. I think a lot of them, man, because what would be the reason? Well, let me just ask you a question. What would you do if you found out any of your kids were being bullies? Were bullying somebody else?
I would nip it in the bud really quickly.
Yeah, it'd be a problem.
Yep.
Yeah.
Hold on a second.
Uh-oh.
Sorry, I just had to talk to my daughter for,
That's okay.
I needed to do some parenting.
See, it never stops. It never stops. Multitasking and parenting.
You can unplug this right here for me. Yeah. No, I'm just my laptop is going dead, so I needed my technical. Can you plugged it in? All right, we got juice now, baby.
Okay. All right.
So anyway, yeah. So anyway, I think that okay, so let me create a scenario for you. Which kind of relationship should I create? Okay, you're at a potential partner's house.
Okay.
Right? And she has a son, like a teenager, like a young teen, like a 12, 13, 14-year-old. And he comes in the living room while you're there and curses her out.
I've actually been involved in the situation and kind of not completely cussing out, but yeah, I can totally give you a good answer on this one, but go ahead.
What would you do?
Now, being that I'm not the parent, right, I wouldn't actually intervene, but once me and this other adult got along, I kind of had to ask him, like, okay, what was that all about? And is this how you always interact with your child? And, you know, I think they kind of noticed, because it's the second time when something kind of happened to that effect, they said some disrespectful things and they end up making them wash their mouth out with soap, which that was something that, yeah.
Hot mess.
Yeah, and they asked me what I thought, you know, they should have did, and I said I think it calls for a conversational ass whooping. And they said a conversational ass whooping. I said, yes, ass whooping, when you whooping that ass and you ask them questions like, what's my name? Because you gonna call me out my name. So wow, you're gonna answer me now. You know what I mean? You're gonna answer me right. But you know, some people, I guess everybody can't do that. You know, when we talk about the discipline part, you know, some people aren't good with the discipline. But I think
so. How does a younger parent how do they create avenues of teaching their child or children to respect them? How does a parent teach respect? And that's for everyone. Like, who can answer that question? How do you teach a child to respect you in a way where they're not cursing you out and acting all kind of crazy? And like, how do you teach that? Well, I think that's good information for people out here.
I think it starts from day one. Oh my goodness. I think it starts from day one. And when I say day one, I mean, it starts from when they're little kids. There's certain things like, you know, if you ask them something, it's not that, it's yes, ma'am, or no, ma'am, or you know, it doesn't go where the conversation, they can just talk to you any type of way because you're stopping it. And so, because some people aren't I'm not a yes, ma'am, no, ma'am, and yes, sir, no, sir type of person, but I am the type of person to where, like, you're not going to roll your eyes when I'm talking to me. You're not going to be smacking your lips. You're not going to walk away, and you damn sure ain't finna slam a door around. So if you nip all that in the bud at a very young age, I think that kind of gets that training of, they know what's acceptable and not. Because I knew what was acceptable and what wasn't acceptable when it came to my mom and how I talked to her. I know there's certain things I couldn't even say. You know what I mean? It's certain times when she told me to do something, it was no interaction with why do I have to do that? And I don't want to, and I don't think, no. It was, you do this, go in there and clean your room. It wasn't, no, I don't feel like cleaning my room right now, or why, or I don't think I should. And it wasn't none of that. You know what I mean? It was, okay. I didn't have to say yes, ma'am, but it was like, okay, I'm gonna go in here and I'm gonna clean. So you have to set a base early on. And once you set that base early on, then they understand, you know, as they get older, they'll know it's instilled in them. You know?
So do you think that do you know how, like, okay, so this was different for me because I grew up in the Virgin Islands,
Mhm.
and there things were a little bit different. Like I remember when I moved to Baltimore, the number one thing that was super striking was they called all, like, children called adults Mr. Tony and Miss Sky. Like they would use the first name. Where
Mhm.
I came from, they called you by your last name. So
Oh,
they
okay.
wouldn't call you, even if it was close. I mean, it depends, but it wasn't. It really wasn't a Mister first name. It was like a Mister your last name. You get what I'm saying? And so then I remember having a conversation, and this was like probably I'm probably going to go back 15 to 20 years when I was having, because I felt a little bit rebellious about the whole Mr. and Mrs. thing, because I kind of almost feel like that's slavery talk. I feel like it's this like am I disrespecting you if I don't say Mr., or am I being, can I still be respectful and call you Tony as a child and still say thank you and please, and like, you get what I'm saying? Is that just like, is that like a um is that like a cultural thing, or what?
I would say it's a cultural thing. I think like if a person doesn't say the first or the last name, I think it's more or less because of how they were introduced. You know what I mean? If they introduced this person, they might didn't even tell them their last name. You know, my name is Tony. But some people they'll say my name is Mr. Bowen. They will say that from the
Mm-hmm.
and you know because with school you weren't allowed to call teachers by their first names.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it all depends, I think, on how the introduction was, and then I think at the end of the day, a parent, not a parent, but an adult will let a child know basically how they want to be.
How they want to be greeted, right?
They want to be greeted and responded and addressed. Yeah.
So it's not really a big deal.
Not to me, it is not. You know what I mean? I mean, if they're putting any kind of Mr. or Mrs. in front of whatever, that's a sign of respect from the jump to me.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm saying, if they don't say it, do you feel disrespected? If you don't mind, like if you say, call me Tony,
Mm-hmm.
do you feel like if a child doesn't, like, how do you feel about that? How do you want, in other words, how do you want to be addressed by a young
You know
person?
what? The addressing part is not where I would have an issue with. It's just how the interaction is. Like if you're not calling me Mr. or Sir or this, that, and other thing, but you showing me respect while you talking to me, I have no problem with it. That's just me
That,
personally. But if
that's,
you
I
get to
feel the
getting
same way.
disrespectful, then I'm gonna put some. First of all, you talking to a
Put some
grown adult.
respect on it.
Yeah, yeah, you talking to a grown adult right here, and I'm gonna need you to, come with a sir around here or something. But you're not, gonna be disrespecting me. But it doesn't really happen. I've never been disrespected by a kid ever. I don't think.
This is my argument years ago. This was an argument I had years ago, and I was like, I've always respected adults, but I've never really I was never forced to say Mr. or Mrs. unless that they wanted it. You know what I
Mm-hmm,
mean?
mm-hmm,
My
mm-hmm.
mom had girlfriends around her, and she would be like, this is Debbie, this is Norma. You know what I mean? Like, it wasn't Miss this and Miss that. It was, I would call them their first name, but they knew I was their, her child. Like, there was levels of respect for sure, and
Mm-hmm.
they didn't trip at all, but I've seen other people trip, and I've even been asked by friends, like, you're allowed to call her that? And I was like, yeah, that's how it was allowed, but
Mm-hmm.
I'm not disrespecting anyone. So yeah,
I mean, I've
pretty
known
interesting.
people that call their own parents by their first name. I don't get it, but I've known it. I've seen it. I'm like, dang, you doing it like that, huh?
Yeah, yeah, that never felt right to me at all. I don't think
Mm-hmm.
I would never do that.
Mm-hmm.
I know, I remember when my mom told me to stop calling her mommy because I got older. And I was still at 20 something years old, I was still saying mommy.
Mm-hmm.
And she was like, you can call me mom or mom, mama or something, like that whole mommy thing. It sounds, and I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, I mean, I know grown, people that call they parents still mommy and daddy.
Oh,
You know what I mean? Like I'll call my mom moms and I call pops pops. You know what I mean?
yeah, but that's a mature way to say it. Mommy sounds like baby kid.
Mm-hmm.
My kids call me mommy, so it doesn't matter.
Well,
But
that's
I'm
true
just
because I know I called my dad and daddy when I was a kid, and when I got older, I just called him pops.
right,
Yeah.
right.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, so another part of discipline that I think I mentioned this at the beginning, but people come in and go with these podcasts,
Mm-hmm.
is the one, especially within, and I guess I would have to say within the Black community. It could probably be within any community, but the one thing that really bothers me in parenting is people who curse their kids out in the name of parenting. And that has been always, it makes me feel so horrible. And I remember years ago living in Puerto Rico, a friend of mine was disciplining her child. When you're at a little gathering and someone starts yelling at their kid, that's none of your business. You just, stay out of it or what have you.
Mm-hmm.
But I felt like I was going to cry because I was like, wow. She cursed him out like he was a whole grown ass man on the street. And this boy was like 8 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And she was like, get your motherfucking ass up, your black ass bitch. I mean, she cursed him out like up and down, curse words, vulgar, violent, what have you. It was like, are you parenting or are you cursed? Like, what are you doing? Like, what are you doing? Well, this is a mess.
So you have two extremes, right? You have the parent that curses the child out all day long. And you have the other parent that's immediately upside their head and popping them and whooping them and this, that, and other thing. So which one how would you think would be the proper way to respond when a child is out of line or does something wrong? You know what I mean? Me personally, I definitely wouldn't do the cursing part, and the physical discipline part. It all depends on how bad the offense is. You know what I mean? Like what you done did that's gonna get you popped upside your head or your butt whooped.
At that moment, you mean? At that moment?
Yeah, at the moment, yeah.
Okay. I have this is me because once again, I'm not a professional here. Mm-hmm. But I have a problem with people disciplining their children in front of other people. I just think that's inappropriate.
You're right. But if they say a particular thing to you in a certain type of way, they're gonna get disciplined in front of God if it need be.
Well, I feel like there's a time and a place, right? And I'll say you have like a gathering of people, maybe like a little picnic or a birthday party or something, right? And the child is doing something wrong. I don't think you should do the home style disciplining in front of other people. That home style that when you go off and you really get into them and really talk and really have this long and loud and heavy explanation, I think there is going to be an opportunity for that later. I think in the midst of company, there should be a conversation that's very short and to the point. Like, I need you to stop doing that right now. I need you to go into the other room and sit there, and I'm going to come in the room. And then you immediately eject yourself from where the situation is, go to the child, take them out of the space and handle their child. But that whole thing where you're having a whole blow up in front of everybody, that shit is.
I get it. I totally get it.
I can't stand when people do that. Like, I just feel like you got no type of friggin' bring up. Like, I don't know. Anyway, we got some messages here.
Okay, go ahead.
We got Jeanette saying, we respect your elders is how I was raised. I'm correcting that. And Zinga says, that is defaming his character and demeaning him, cutting down his manhood before he's even a man. Demanning him. That's what she meant. Yep.
Yeah.
And Darren says, beat that ass when necessary. What we need to do is tell stories of moderation with physical discipline and or restrictions is how to refer to adults. The reason is more of the line, familiarity breeds contempt at this point of human development is true. And please, we need to do many things at home and not think the streets are the same as your living room, which is how many think that is being real and or gangsta. My mom would curse quietly through her teeth and when we got home. I agree, Darren. I can't stand for the life of me people who think that every moment is a teachable moment at the moment. You know what I'm saying? Like, for example, how many of y'all know about parents who the kid is acting up at the grocery store? Remember? What is that show? with the cartoon.
The cartoon, was it The Simpsons or something? Or what?
No, the two black boys, the brothers, and they had the grandfather who was raising him.
Boondocks? Was it the Boondocks?
The Boondocks.
Yeah.
Right. So they were at the grocery store and there was a kid acting up. And the grandfather took his belt off and gave it to the mother. He's like, you don't have to talk a whole lot. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. That was funny. But yeah, it's the whole thing about like the appropriateness of disciplining is also like, even in school, like, okay, children need to be disciplined, right? If the kid is acting up in school, do you know when I was in the Virgin Islands in school, a parent came into the class and started beating on their child in front of everyone.
What did the child do? Did the child curse out the teacher, try to hit the teacher or something crazy like that? That's the only two reasons I can really see why I'm about to whoop your ass in front of everybody. If you think you can fight a grown adult teacher or curse at some like I'm not training you at home with any kind of home training, because that's gonna embarrass me. If you think you're a kid and you're gonna be cussing out your teacher and it ain't gonna be no problem with it and nothing gonna happen, or I'm gonna let you know it's gonna be a problem with you and everybody else in here is gonna see it.
Right. Now, I don't remember. I don't remember the
reason that I would say that I'm gonna whoop your ass in front of everybody. But other than that, nah.
No, I don't remember what it was. All I can say is you know how you don't remember what happened, but you could remember the feeling, right? I felt like the crime and the punishment didn't match. You get what I mean? Like whatever this child did, this kid did.
It wasn't necessary. It was over. It wasn't
like for the parent to come and leave their work and come and. It wasn't necessary at all. Okay, let's see. Aital al-Amin. The parent adults are the ones who set the tone for how they want or expect to be addressed. For instance, I was raised to address my elders as Ms., Mr., so-and-so. My grandmother, though, was not having a good evening, Miss Ivy. I let my friends know walking in the door, address grandma as Miss Coleman. Okay, so they want the last name. This is like the Boondocks. LOL, that was one of your son's favorites. How'd you know? Exactly. Every situation requires a different response. And Jeanette says, my mom didn't play. No disrespect.
Not at all.
More people should not whoop children. I'm just saying. I agree. Like whooping and beating and smack and, there's like levels to it. But I hope most adults realize that most of their beatings are taking their frustration out on their children. So the earth is flat, COVID's a myth, Sandy Hook was fake. Greetings, friends. That's a whole lot.
Yeah, that's a hell of a title.
So a lot of people I'm really and it's funny because I guess I'm opinionated about a lot of things, a lot of many things, and I don't know what's the right or wrong answer, but I always feel like it's very inappropriate to discipline your children in front of a group of people. Like I
agree with that. Like I said, but it's like even I've seen kids in the store kind of either not curse their parent out or whatever, or snatching away. Like they tell them to put down that candy. No, give it away. I want this. You know what I mean? I'm just like, so you just gonna let your kid just pull away from you and tell you no, and they want this candy and throw a tantrum in the middle of the store and all that old crazy mess. Because I was brought up, you gonna cry? I'm about to give you a reason to cry for. You ain't finna just cry because you can't get this candy bar. You gonna cry because I'm whooping your ass. You know what I mean? You're not gonna be cutting up, acting a fool in public just for no reason. But I mean, that's just me talking about, certain, and that's the most extreme, just trying to act out as a kid being a brat. But you're not going to just get popped upside the head or beat her in public and that just for any old reason. No. And damn sure, like I said, we don't do the cursing out at all. But we get popped upside the head.
I know I've had challenges with the little one when they're big now, they're grown, but when they were really little, I had super challenges trying to navigate in public, like the grocery store thing, and how I had these two kids in the cart and they're trying to grab and one's running down the thing, and it was just like, And you know what I realized? This is how I was able to cope when I couldn't cope with the whole, like, there's too much going on with these kids. I'm going to the grocery store by myself. Like, I'm not doing all of this because it's too much for me. And I'm not, another thing that I had this personal thing, I'm not going to act a fool myself. I'm not going to be yelling and screaming and running down children in the grocery store, showing out. Like, I just can't do that, you know, and it's just not part of my thing. Let me see. We got some comments here.
Yes, we do. We got to.
It says that's how it was in the islands because, I mean, basically the motto was if the parent had to come into the classroom, then that child was going to be made an example of. Ooh, that is rough. Hector's my ace. It was no beating, whooping, etc. It was called licks.
Yeah,
that's what they call it.
You're going to get licks. Yeah.
In the Virgin Islands, they call it licks. You ain't licks, Miss Honey. And we go. Jeanette said there's a reason God put all that butt back there. Aww.
Adding for something.
Aww. Okay, let's see. Wow. Let's see. It says we got a speech before we left the house. Yeah.
Yes, that's right.
Don't touch anything. Don't make no noise. Don't do nothing. When we go to these people's house, you better sit down on that chair. Don't ask me for nothing. Don't touch anything.
Hey,
oh my God.
With the mouth, when you get in here, you want to.
Oh, what about the look? What about the look? Now I can tell you.
One eyeball.
I can tell you that I had no look forever. Like, I don't have a look, and I just couldn't develop the look for some reason.
Yes, it's the one eyeball look. Is that?
You know how you get that? You give your child a look, and you're just like. You don't have the same.
That's what Steve Harvey said. He said, "My mama controlled 9 kids with one eyeball."
Yeah, I couldn't get the look down. I had to say something because I just like my ability to do the look. It was like a joke. So, what else are we seeing?
What we got here? We got a lot of comments.
Those massive whoopings in front of people are rooted and stem from a slave master's mentality. Agreed. It's like a fear thing. You know what I mean? They beat people in front of others to make sure, like, if you're gonna run away or you're gonna not listen to what I gotta say, you're gonna have to take the consequences, and you're gonna take the consequences for everybody. So Darren says, nowadays, yes, it's frustration. Remember, there used to be a difference between how white kids would act in the store and black kids. Now, since many don't spank, the lines are blurring. There are 2 extremes, like you both said. One said cursing like they are adults and understand all of adult issues, and others trying to reason with a 2-year-old. Yeah.
That part right there. I'm not reasoning with no 2-year-old child. You should do what I say, and that's it. Point blank, period.
Yeah. Says my son understood the look. Yeah. I couldn't do the look. I've never gotten the look down, and I don't know if my face doesn't do it. And the worst part of my parenting is my children are so funny that even if they're acting up, I'm probably gonna be laughing. So I have to like get serious and be like, we gotta go. So yeah, that was my problem. But yeah, but parenting is such a wow. Parenting is such a wow. And the very interesting part about parenting that I always found about like friends is like your friends will parent way on the other side of the planet different than you. And it's like, for example, I remember years ago I had my kids and they could watch not anything, but I didn't control the TV like hardcore. You know what I mean? Like I didn't I'd monitor what they were watching and what have you. And I'd look at, because, that's programming, right? So, like whatever your kids are watching, they're being programmed. But I had a girlfriend that came, like her daughter was there and we were all there. And she was like, oh, you let your child watch that? And I was like, yeah, I guess it's okay, And she was just so like, oh yeah, my daughter can't watch that. Come. It was like, I was like, I don't know what to do because I just didn't feel that hardcore about some of the trash my kids were programmed. You know what I mean? Like,
Did you see the
I came out okay. I watched a bunch of garbage, so I don't know.
Did you see the comedian he was talking about? He had white friends growing up, and the first time he went over to his white friend's house, and he seen his white friend talking crazy to his mom. He said, "Mom, how many times I tell you, stay the fuck out of my room? I'm not going to tell you again. This, that, and other thing, right?" And he said, and he lived. He said, he said, I just knew that it was going to be it. He said, little Tommy was going to die. He said, he actually lived. He said,
I feel like that was Dave Chappelle. Wasn't that Dave Chappelle?
I don't know. It was one of the comedians said that. I laughed so hard. I was like, yeah, I guess sometimes it is different sometimes when you go into somebody else. He said, little Tommy just went off on his mom and it was no big deal.
I do think it. I mean, it's hard to say. Like, it's a race. It's a difference.
I don't want to say that because
it's not really race. It's culture, right? It's a difference in culture, right?
Yes.
And like, you know, be. It is what it is. I mean, when I went to a private school and I had white friends, black friends, and the white friends were way more liberal in their communication to their parents. Like head over heels liberal, like just the cursing, just like the conversations were way different, like way different, you know. And go to my black friend's house and they were not having those, they weren't talking about any, like nothing compared. It was like two different worlds completely. All right, Nataki says, I love your name, Nataki. I love it. I love it. I love it. I just want to say that. Definitely must rear the child up in a positive, disciplined way. Discipline doesn't have to include physical whippings, hitting. Agreed. I didn't get physical with my children, nor did I curse at them, but there's a tone and a look that children understand. Also, it's the way the parents carry themselves, which allows a child to not be disrespectful. My children are adults in their 30s and 40s, and they don't use profanity around me at all. One day, a cousin, same age as my 38-year-old it cut off. Maybe you can continue it. I don't know if it's still in the comments somewhere.
Or maybe she was saying that cousin was cursing or using profanities.
Yeah, probably, and probably didn't live to see the next day.
Yeah, something like that, or was nipped in the bud real quick.
We're guessing, Nataki. We're guessing what happened next. Michelle Brown says there are some militant white folks too. Are you talking about militant parent-wise, like they're just more gangster in their parenting? I actually
that ass.
I actually do. Yeah, there are. There are.
I know. Man, believe me, I done seen it.
Yeah. I admire parents who have their children on the straight and narrow path. I love them. I love them so much because it's just like, I know it's not easy, you know? And the one thing I've learned about parenting that it's constant. You know what I mean? You can't like take a break from your kids.
It's
as soon as you get lazy, because that's a lot of the downfalls of a lot of children. It's not laziness only. It's partly laziness, but it's partly that the parent is so busy trying to work and stuff. They really don't have the right amount of time to parent and discipline and get their children in order and get this room clean. Like that's really important to me, even more so now. Is part of discipline is not really just how you act. It's like your environment, you know what I mean? Yeah. And I really find that cleaning and staying organized is such a huge learning experience for children, because I realized that over the years, I've really had to learn how to be organized and how to keep a house clean and how to just be organized. And I just feel so much better in knowing, like, let me tell you something. This is me. My mother made her bed up every day. Every day I would go in my mother's room and the bed was tight. It looked like a hotel bed. Or every day I went in her room. She'd sleep in it. She'd make, you know how you take the comforter and you fold it over and then you put the pillows on top, and then you take the comforter and flip it over the top of the pillows like okay. She had her bed like that, right? And for years, I hated making up my bed. I was like, I'm never going to make up my bed. It's not important.
That would be me. That would be
Yeah.
me to this day.
It
At
wasn't
50 years old,
important.
I'm terrible
It
at making my
wasn't
bed.
necessary. I'm an adult. I'm never going to do that. So for many years, you want me to tell you when I made up my bed? I made up my bed when I changed the sheets, and I'd make it
Mhm.
up, and then I wouldn't make it up again until I changed. That was me for a long time. I don't know what came over me at some point. At some point, I started making my bed up.
Mhm.
And oh, I know what it was. I was staying with friends. And so, you're in someone else's space. So you're like, you want to be a little bit more neat and organized and stuff like that. So I
Mhm.
started making my bed, but then it carried over into like continuous living. And literally, when you come home after work and you walk into your bedroom and your bed is made, you feel way better than a messed up bed. It just looks dope and fantastic, right?
I guess I guess I just got to be a morning person for that, right?
No, you just got to create time to do it. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So all I'm saying is, and this is not really, this is part of discipline, because disciplining your children is also teaching them discipline in life. You get what
Mhm.
I'm saying? Like,
Mhm.
that's kind of how I navigate. Like, this is really not for me. You're not doing this for me. You're doing this for when you get out here. You need to know how to navigate, pay bills,
It's
deal
giving
with
them
people.
those life tools. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, dishes, wash your dishes. Please, God, please wash your dishes. Clean up after yourself. Like, that is all part of discipline to
Now,
me. That's what I want my kids to know.
Now, kind of rewinding back to the actual topic of the conversation, when we talk about the kids that are disrespectful in closing, hopefully we'll be closing here pretty soon. Do we think that it's a thing where the generation of kids now seem to be more disrespectful or more feeling like they're more entitled? And to everybody that's listening right now, does everyone have older kids, or do some of us have younger kids? Just to kind of gauge where we're looking, or what do we think, or is it just what we see? Does everybody else see that? Do they think that this generation of kids seem to be not as respectful to the adults and the elders and the parents? Just a question. I don't know if anybody want to type in an answer,
I
but
feel
it's a question that I'm trying to find out before we close out here and kind of see, because I don't want to make it seem like the title of this conversation was us bashing kids, these millennials or whatever you want to call them. You know what I mean? Because it might be just something we've seen before. I don't know if it's really true. Are they really, are they being
I mean,
like that?
I think so. I think that this is what I'm getting, and this is what I've learned from my children, specifically because my some of my kids went to like art schools,
Mm-hmm.
right? So
Mm-hmm.
they're in an environment with a very broad and different dynamic type of children around them. They have
Mm-hmm.
a lot of gay students in the school. They have a lot of, like, the whole thing. Like, I didn't grow, I mean, I knew that they were gay kids in school, but I didn't know that they were like the whole transgender and a
Mm-hmm.
lot of different dynamics of people. Our children are being raised in like a broader spectrum
Way
of
more. Yeah.
way. And in that respect, they're more open and accepting to a variety of things. While I'm still trying to navigate 300 genders, you get what I'm saying? I'm still trying to understand and wrap my mind around a
Yeah.
lot of new concepts that keep popping up. Like, it's a new
Who are
thing.
you, and how do you want to be referred to?
Right. Like,
Yeah.
it's like they, the, we, I'm, what is your pronoun? Like, all of that. Like, so these kids are living, they are more accepting and more they're in more into this stuff that for me, I'm like one little generation, like, right. Like, oh, okay, I got to catch it because it's not natural to me. It is
Mm-hmm.
all like new information, new learning. So I think that while they do act a little bit entitled, they're way more beyond us. You get what I'm saying? They're more
Mm-hmm.
evolved in the fact that this world is moving like,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm still over here talking about guys and girls, and they're talking, and I'm using that as an example, as you know.
Yeah.
Like, there's other things that are going on.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, it's basically like there's Instagram, TikTok, Snapchat, Clubhouse, there's all these social media things going on. They are so boo, 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 boo. So in that respect, yes, they are more entitled. That doesn't mean they don't respect their parents. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that parents need to, like, you kind of need to stay on point with where they are, because they're flying. You know what I'm saying? Like, and this probably goes into a whole nother conversation, which we can visit. The school system, even the way that they're teaching these children who are like, they got all this like technology.
Going out a whole different lane, but
I'm just saying, like, I'm saying these children are way different than the lack, and their, the communication is off. You get what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, I'm demanding my children to do certain things that my mother would have demanded, or my father, the elder generation would have demanded, because it doesn't apply to now. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
All of that to say
it's a different generation, and even with, and we're not even talking about kids. I'm just talking about in general. I think we live in a more tolerant and a more receptive world now and country, when people are receptive to people's differences and differences of opinion and lifestyles and all that. I think we people are much more open-minded in this day and age than when we were younger, on just accepting people for who they are and how they act and all that. But that still doesn't give an excuse for kids to have that entitlement feeling and the whole feeling like they can disrespect. So we got a couple of comments right here. I mean, a couple of people responded, I guess, when I asked about the kids and how old and all.
T. Lynn, this is my friend Terry. Hey, Terry. Older, but grandkids are worse. What are you responding to? Something we probably just said a little while ago.
Well, I was asking about the kids. Do I think the kids in this generation are, more entitled and disrespectful, or was just kind of?
Exactly. Juan Mel Noriega. I have 5 boys, 29 through 6, and have been commended on their respect and manners. That was a big part in teaching them independence. I always say, when your kids are home, it's practice to get them ready for the real world, because once they move out, you hope you taught them well. Exactly.
Absolutely.
Exactamundo.
Yes.
So, and then Michelle says, even eye contact. Eye contact, seriously.
Yeah.
Respect.
Yeah.
But anyway, I think we're coming to a close, right?
Yeah.
And I hope that this conversation has brought people some, I can't say the word. Understanding. Maybe we got a little understanding and just some different viewpoints, because you and I have different viewpoints on a lot of things. We have a lot of similar, but at the same time, we have different perspectives on things, different viewpoints. But hopefully everybody kind of got an understanding and got a little viewpoint of what we were talking about and what we were thinking and what might have been the problem, or what's going on with this generation. And then maybe it's just maybe we just kind of perceive it to be that way, and it's really not as bad as we think it is, I also think something that wasn't brought up earlier was, you were talking about your friend we were talking about your friend who had the child who was like going off, and you'd had a conversation with the mother later. I actually didn't respond to that, because my thought was, I feel like we should, depending on the situation, we should actually help each other parent. I think that makes a better world. Because especially not when a parent got it together, when a parent has struggle, and you could always see a struggle. I think it's a great idea. I love when you're like, say you're at the grocery store and the child is acting up, and the parent is really trying to bring their kid back together. And someone walks by and said, you should listen to your mother. When people do that, I think that's beautiful, because it's so important to help one another parent. That's
a slippery slope, because you don't want to make a person feel like you're trying to tell them how to be a parent. So you have to do it in a way that people can respect that, because some people get offended. Like, don't be telling me how to raise my child or talk to my child.
No, right. No, I'm saying, like, when there's like a need for support, like I support you in your parenting.
Yes.
I don't know it depends on the situation, but I like when like you see a kid is like crying. It's like, why are you not listening to your mom? Your mom does everything for you. Like, I love when people do that because it helps. Because when they hear someone else talking to them, and you know what I mean, they kind of act better to the stranger. You know what I mean?
You ain't lying. Yeah, because they're like, I don't know who this person is. They might do something. Absolutely.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So so I think folks should help one another parents. So
yeah. Definitely. Well, I hope this helped. I hope somebody gave some insight to some people, some parents. We'll see. And every Tuesday and Thursday and Sunday, we will be on.
Oh, yes. We have a schedule now.
Yeah, we have a schedule now.
Yes. We're getting organized.
We're getting organized. We're getting there. We're getting a little better. We absolutely appreciate all the support, the comments, the likes, the shares, and all that. Thanks to everyone, for that. So we will definitely
Michelle says, it takes a village. Thanks, guys. Always great convo. Thank you, Michelle. That was exactly what we wanted. It does take a whole village. Absolutely. So we'll see you guys on Thursday, and have a great evening, y'all. It's been fabulous. Peace, y'all.
Love, peace, and hair grease.